All right, so it is a very, very clear and loud mandate for the NDA in Bihar. Welcome to this special show. Neeraj and I are going to break down Bihar and Bazaar, dono, because there are obviously markets maybe not immediately reacting. It was already played in, but this will have far-reaching impact for how markets see stability at the center and the results, I think, beyond what anyone could think of at all.
Yeah, and Tamanna, I would love your opinion on what this means politically, but just purely from a market perspective, a neck-to-neck finish, right? Considering that the market wants the incumbent party to stay in power per se, a neck-to-neck finish might have been different. This is far away from a neck-to-neck finish, and therefore, you rightly put, it in some sense an indication of what might be the mandate for the center as well.
What the country is thinking, stability for the center. This is not neck to neck, not even head and shoulders. This is head and tail, which you're seeing at this point. So an astonishing victory. Now, even as we talk about the numbers, vote share, etc., and all of that, what does this really mean? What are the big takeaways? And I've just broken it down to some of the key points that you should look at. Well, I think for one, no one can deny this is about Nitish Kumar. Nitish proves, to borrow from a popular, statement, "Tiger zinda hai." And I've actually borrowed this from some of the posters which were seen in Patna this morning, saying "Tiger zinda hai." Well, ye tiger to bahut hi zinda hai, alive and kicking. Why are we saying that? He has been chief minister for 20 years and will become chief minister for a record 10th time in Bihar. This victory is coming despite questions on health and capability, age-related illnesses, etc. All of this was being used to say that he is not the man for the job. Well, clearly, Bihar does not think so at all. And you could call this sympathy. I would say this was a sympathy vote if the numbers were not as starkly in his favor. But this is a vote for Nitish as well. The Nitish and Prime Minister Modi combo is one, and Nitish at the forefront of it. Second thing, which was a big takeaway, it's all calm on the central front, isn't it? It's a huge mandate for the NDA. Performance of all constituents has been beyond expectation. So it's not just the JDU, the BJP, best ever performance, LJP, HAM, all of the individual constituents of the NDA have also performed very well. This means the alliance and the central government gets a further boost. It is, of course, very bad news for the Mahagathbandhan and for the opposition. They have to go back to the drawing board, try and understand what hasn't worked for them. It also questions Congress's relevance in Bihar and as an alliance partner perhaps in other states. What really is Congress bringing to the table, being a national party and part of all of these state alliances, will become a question that is asked even more. I think one of the big takeaways, at least for me, she has spoken loud and clear. Yes, I'm talking about women voters. You know, when this election breakdown was taking place, some commentary about whether women voters are being spoilt by the Bihar government with this 10,000 rupees deal and dole and whatever you want to call it. But clearly, women voters came out in large numbers, outpaced men in terms of voter turnout. And it goes beyond the 10,000 rupee freebie or dole that you're talking about. It's a tectonic shift in Indian politics, which shows that any government that understands the importance of women-oriented schemes and speaks to this cohort will be heard. Women will respond. I think the other big takeaway, Jan Suraj's experiment has failed. Prashant Kishore's party seems to be a non-starter. Remember, he was the first one to sort of corporatize what really happens in politics and give a corporate angle to way political campaigns are run. But because you're the expert at doing that, does it mean that you can have a successful political party? Unfortunately for Prashant Kishore, this election has proven otherwise. So these were some of the big takeaways.
Yeah, the message doing the rounds in a funny manner on various groups is that there's a difference between giving trading advice and actually trading in some sense. So that's the interesting one. And viewers, keep in mind, as of about 2 p.m. India time, when the European markets open, etc., all the global markets have been in red, and which is why, if you look at the 5-day chart of the markets, it's not looking very good. But it has got nothing to do with the elections. If anything, that's a saving grace from a market's perspective. Let's get in our experts to try and understand what to do, or how is it that they think about this result in conjunction with the economy and the equity markets and more. Ajay Bagga needs no introduction. He's a veteran, looks at politics and markets with equal aplomb. Joins in, as does Ashok Malik, partner in India, chaired the Asia Group. Firoz Aziz, joint CEO of Anand Rathi Wealth, with us on the conversation as well. Gentlemen, all three of you, thank you so much for taking the time out. Mr. Bagga, I'll start with you. Yes, the early polls suggested a remarkable lead, but this is turning out to be a thumping landslide for the NDA. What implications, to your mind, from an electoral and from a markets perspective?
Yeah, Neeraj, first I would say, paraphrasing Tamanna, she has spoken. Tamanna spoke, and the women voter of Bihar has spoken. A big percentage of women voted, 72% of the electoral women electorate voted, and they have spoken. Second, I think it's a huge victory for the maturity of Chirag Paswan. Remember, in 2020, he fought from 135 seats. He took away 25 seats from Nitish Kumar, where the losing margin for JDU was less than the votes polled by the LJP. So Chirag Paswan this time cooperating in the social engineering experiment and see the magic that they have created together. I would say maturing of Chirag Paswan is a huge thing because it's very important for the future in Bihar. He's a young leader. He will be a future chief minister, and also at the national level, he's contributing. The third big thing, political stability, policy continuity. That's the big message. Again, she has spoken, and here the she is Tamanna. Tamanna, these markets will rally on this because it's a big relief today. Sentimentally, it's a relief. Any other outcome which could have led, because there are very fragile numbers at the center. Out of 293, 12 MPs are JDU, 16 are TDP. You take both of those out and the government is in a minority. That is what the market keeps one eye on continuously, and this gives policy continuity and political stability.
Very well put and broken down, Mr. Bagga. I want to come to Sanjeev Srivastava as well for a quick political take on it. Sanjeev, so many things to break down, but one, I think, big takeaway would be that the Indian voter never ceases to surprise.
Oh, yes. And like I keep saying, while one could clearly discern a trend of what's likely to happen, which way the wind is blowing, the scale of the verdict is unprecedented. And I always maintain that these wave elections, or what journalists are now calling tsunami elections, they only one sees in hindsight. Oh, tsunami chal rahi thi, badi zabardast wave thi. You can sense what is going to happen, but then once the slide one-way tide turns, so then it is anybody's guess. So now they crossed 200. But one thing I'd like to say, it is a great victory for BJP and the coalition and JDU, and a great setback for the opposition. But I'm already looking ahead at the next set of elections. Where do we go from here? So can the BJP repeat this in West Bengal? They'll try their best. But the big thing is how BJP has mastered the art of not just going it alone, where it matters, like in MP or other states, some other states, but also mastered this art of coalition. Now in West Bengal and Tamil Nadu, the next round of elections, they don't have such dependable coalition partners. In fact, West Bengal, there is none. So that's the challenge. So those virgin territories, how will they cross over that and win over those? I'm sure they're going to find a way out, because the BJP is just so good at thinking and executing politics.
You're doing what markets do. Markets discount the current event,
discounting the present,
markets discount the present and look forward to what's next. You've already moved on to Bengal.
Because this has happened, done and dusted. They have won in a big style. And talking about markets, somebody did ask me, how will the markets react? I said, well, the markets would have reacted. There would have been mayhem if the result would have been anything else.
Markets reacted on the day of the exit polls.
Yes, but now Bihar result will not have much of an impact on the markets. It's, of course, signals stability and continuity in politics. But markets will move on the earnings, on tariffs, on policy decisions of the central government. This is, so everybody has discounted that. Anybody who is serious is discounted. Of course, Tejasvi and company will have to live with it for some time.
Okay, Ashok Malik, so great to have you on, and thank you so much for your time with us here at NDTV Profit. We've called the show Bihar and Bazaar, and not to force fit the connection there, but you know, politics is something that everyone looks at very closely, and the markets had reacted negatively after the first phase because of just the sheer size of voter turnout. It's traditionally seen as a vote for anti-incumbency and everything. If you can give your perspective on why there is a concern if there is a change. Because markets are not necessarily political animals where they have a preference. It's more about stability.
Yeah, so look, you answered the question yourself. I don't think markets and I don't think business stakeholders are particularly concerned about what policies are followed. Well, we would like policies that are supportive, but they more than the particular policy, they want continuity. They want policy consistency. And if the government is not changing, if the incumbent is staying on, then obviously there is policy continuity. Even if you don't like a particular policy, if it's there, you get used to it, you start working with it. In a very turbulent world, a world where elections are becoming more and more unpredictable, this election has given not just Bihar, but the central government, the union government, a certain policy and political space for consistency. If this election had gone badly, the UP election of 2027 would also have been a question mark, and the next 2 years would have been turbulent. Now, the BJP will approach 2027 with some confidence, and should that be okay, it can approach 2029 with confidence, which means you're looking at a long-term potential, long-term stability. Of course, one can never predict the Indian voter. So business stakeholders and markets and investors and others, companies that we at the Asian Group work with, will be looking with some relief to a process of continuity. This result has given Mr. Modi's government in Delhi space to carry out any policy changes it wants. The question is, what are the policy changes it wants to bring about? What is the new legislation it could now try and push, because it has the space for it? And that is where the next question will turn to.
Yeah, fair point. Firoz Aziz, how would you dissect this? Was this, in this election, was an avoidable defeat more important than an expected victory? And of course, today markets are reacting more on the global cues, but had that not been the case, would there have been a thumbs up to the extent and the margin of the victory?
Done?
Good afternoon, Neeraj. I personally think that here a majority of this kind is very crucial. See, because an election like Bihar is not going to dictate the capital markets as much as the extent of victory. The extent of victory tells you UP mein kya hoga, West Bengal mein kya hoga, right? So the wave, the extent of the wave is the larger message, and I think that was very crucial. Over the last 1 year of time correction, markets have tested 21,700, 21,100 on the general election day. What was crucial was the momentum and the consolidation of the market from weaker hands to stronger hands has happened over the last 1 year. You see the kind of retail and others, right? BSE and NSE publish minute breakup of what was bought, who bought. If you look at the last 1 year, there's been a lot of shift in the top 5 stocks of Nifty from weaker hands to stronger hands. That consolidation was critical. So this consolidation phase, I was looking at this election as a party spoiler, potential party spoiler. On the contrary, it has, with this kind of a majority, unprecedented kind of a majority, I personally think it gives you immense amount of stability, one. Second, of course, today's reaction could be attributed to global or no reaction from something which was a very good outcome from a capital market standpoint is because how traders are positioned over the last 1 month. If we were sitting in September, I think the same news from 24,500 had the potential to give you 1,000 points on Nifty in 3-4 days. But if you've already seen the last 1 month rallying 6-7%, that automatically implies there is some degree of positioning already done for this. And lastly, I think the most important question which I ask myself, does it increase the odds of median plus returns on Nifty or decrease the odds? I think now the odds of median plus returns for the next 2 years on Nifty median returns are 11, mean returns of Nifty are 14. I think the odds are upwards of 95%. The second question I ask myself is what's the potential catastrophic fall possibility? Now it becomes negligible. Catastrophic falls I call more than 15% because 15% peak to trough has been the average for the last 25 years. So both these questions have got more concrete answers. The 28,000 Nifty target for the financial year becomes a little more solid.
Constructivist Firoz Aziz. Now, Mr. Bagga, the follow-up question to that would be, if there were three key levers that the market, or three key developments that the market would have been eyeing: earnings, the Bihar election in some small fashion and the extent of that victory, and then the trade truce, right? Two of these three seeming to be falling in place. If we get a third one as well, right, is that a necessary and a sufficient condition for a rally, or is more needed?
No, a lot has already happened. We have underperformed for 13 months by about 30% versus emerging markets. So we have paid the price. Second, the government has made up to 12 lakh rupees no tax. So on the income tax end, some relief has come. Your GST cut has come, so consumption tax cut done. RBI has done 100. I still think they should do 50 more because given where the inflation is, we can have a lower interest rate. You can't have real rates at 5% plus and expect to grow at 12-13% nominal. So RBI should target a good, strong nominal growth, and especially in a low inflation environment. So over to RBI on that end. Add all this, and you have a troughing of earnings downgrades. Now we are seeing more of upgrades coming in. So earning trough has passed for us. It's going to improve from here on. You're setting up the markets for very good returns for the next 12 to 24 months. Add to that a sentimental breaker, which could have come in if there was a hung assembly or if there was an adverse to the NDA kind of an equation because of the fragility of the central coalition, the arithmetics of the central coalition. I think that gets taken out, and now there is no visibility on that getting shaken for the next 2 years, 2.5 years, what the other panelists also spoke about. So setting up well, Neeraj, for better performance from here, fundamentals looking better, sentiment improving, and as some of the money sitting abroad starts looking at India again, you will see a much better market. Even if it stops going out of India, the domestic flows itself are strong enough to give you pretty good returns. Firoz has given the exact algebraic equation also on it, but I would say much better returns here on.
You know, if I look at similarities between those who track markets closely and those who track politics closely, it's a geeky love for numbers, especially when it is elections. Everyone likes to see what the vote share is, the strike rate is, the success rate is, and we're going to come back to more which merges the two worlds. But I want to just go across to my colleague Sharad. And when we're talking about Bihar, especially on NDTV Profit, we also need to talk about what the state is hoping to get. And what is being bet on. There are already quite a few companies, isn't it, Sharad? And I love the get-up for quite a few companies who have bet big on Bihar.
Well, yes, it's completely right. And interestingly, the base of the economy is very low. The moment these companies come up, a strong growth comes up. And that's what we have seen in the stock prices also. So we have spoken about Bihar and its elections, but there is an industry. There is also a listed place. So let's go and see which are the listed plays. The stocks which are having the highest exposure, Aditya Vision, they're the largest electronic retail chain in Bihar. Also, Reflex Industries, it's a small name, but for refrigerant gases, the ones which you use in AC, they have a big market share in the state of Bihar. Also, SIS, it's a very big multinational company, but it's interestingly headquartered in a place called Patna. That's very interesting. Also, Jina Seco Life Care, Ayurved theme, but they're having 1 hospital and 10 clinics as well. Ashiana Housing, it's a small cap company, but it's having a significant exposure when it comes to Bihar and Jharkhand. V2 Retail, another value play. That's roughly 27 stores operational in the state currently. And lastly, the recent announcement which have been coming in Bihar, and we have already seen that over the last 1 year, Railtel, they have got roughly 7,000 crore plus orders coming from the education center. And also, if you look at the Varun Beverages, they have a huge beverage facility in Buxar. Also, Global Spirits in the alcohol space, they are having a facility of roughly 30 liters as well. Also, the infra segment, that's very important. And Tamanna pointed out that the 49 major infra projects are going on. So let's look at the infra plays. What's important? PNC Infratech has got a big order. L&T, they're expected to get larger order when it comes to Bharat Mala and Gati Shakti projects. Also, NCC, they got a 2,100 crore project from the Water Resource Department, and Ashok Buildcon, a small order, 500 plus crore order from EPC as well. So Bihar, if you look at it, infra will be a very important theme to look at.
कैसन रही तमन्ना?
What do I say? मुझे dialogue भी बता दो.
नहीं, लिट्टी चोखा खाए कि नहीं?
Yeah, not yet. Litti chokha after this. That's the flavor. That's the flavor here in Mumbai as well. Fantastic, Sharad. Thank you for that. So, you know, I think that's, Ashok Malik, I'm going to come to you with that point. So, this thumping mandate, historic mandate, women voters coming in, what are they going to get in return? Now becomes a question that is very valid to ask. And industrialization is something that Bihar needs to have more of, isn't it? What can the new government do to ensure that more investments flow into the state and issues like migration, which dominated this election cycle, then become a thing of the past?
Look, I have a slightly contrary view on this. Industrialization and the creation of jobs and the creation of industry in Bihar is, of course, most welcome. But let's face it, it's not going to happen tomorrow morning. It's not easy. Bihar has suffered because when Jharkhand was removed from Bihar, was bifurcated in the year 2000, Bihar lost its industrial hinterland. And you can't easily recover from that. The fact is the migration economy or the migrant economy contributes enormously to Bihar and contributes enormously to India. Because as the Indian economy has grown, it's essentially been built by Bihari labor, and it's also benefited Bihari labor. And not just blue-collar workers, doctors, engineers, lawyers, civil servants, and so on. Remittances used to contribute some 30 to 25% of household income in Bihar at the beginning of the century. Today, they contribute over 60%. So the point is, of course, industry is welcome in Bihar, but more than that, I would say the immediate target for the government should be to focus on skilling so that Bihari workers move up the value chain from low-end jobs to slightly one echelon above, because that will increase incomes and that will eventually benefit Bihar. So I think skilling, healthcare, education, to my mind, should take a priority right now, even above searching for industry.
We wrap the show very quickly. Top priority from the new government that everyone on this panel would like to see. Feroz Aziz.
See, I think, from this government, I would definitely look at their budget and see that they have only 22% of their free resources committed to capex, which was 10 years back 39%. Their freebie has gone up from 9% to almost 14-15%. I would say capex, but their promises have been clearly 7 new airports, expressways, 4 expressways. I think the allocation of out of the 2.36 lakh crores or 2.36 trillion rupees, they have 96,000, if I'm not wrong, committed expenditure, the 1.3 lakh crores. I think the allocation to capital expenditure is going to be very critical for those promises which are there in the manifesto.
Okay, very quickly, Ajay.
special package, help them to reduce their debt, reward the Bihari voters with a special package and help them to industrialize, create jobs.
Sanjeev, last word, very quickly. What should be expected from the new government?
See, the Bihar government should get its 2005 to 2015 mojo back. Those first 10 years of Nitish Kumar saw a lot of development, progress, work on ground, per capita income going up. Last 10 years have been largely stagnation in Bihar in terms of it's still the poorest state, poorest per capita. And like Ashok Malik was saying, industry won't come tomorrow and migrant economy does play a role. But basically, they need to focus now on governance and focus less. Election is done and dusted. Get away from freebies, which is costing a lot of money to the Bihar exchequer, which could have been, which should be well spent on development and infra projects.
Okay.
So a lot of work for them.
Okay, work cut out. I think the higher the victory margin, the higher the expectations also grow, and that will be the case, of course, from the new government. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us on this special show today. We're talking about Bihar and Bazaar. It matters for several reasons. And yes, if it was a negative surprise, then we would have seen more of an impact in the markets.
Yeah, I think that's the call, Tamanna. It may not be a big positive, but a wrong mandate had it been come, would have been a big negative that has been avoided, and that's a victory in itself. Take a break. In fact, wrap up this show. Thanks so much for watching.